Welcome to the Heart-Centered Entrepreneur Podcast. I want you to be rich. Yes, I want abundant financial success for your business. But I don't just care about your business making money. I care about you too. I want you to be rich in happiness, in the impact you make, in your relationships, and in how you give back. I'm Anna. I built my six-figure business as a side hustle while I was pregnant with my daughter in 2016. Now I've helped dozens of women do the same. I'm here to help you build a profitable, heart-centered, fully booked business with the latest tips on sales and visibility, with proven mindset hacks, and sneak peeks behind the scenes with what's working right now in the online space and in my business. Ready to make more money with heart? Let's go. Recently, I got a little bit behind on my to-do list in Basecamp, and this doesn't happen to me very often. I'm pretty good at being on top of my due dates and deadlines in my business, and I really felt like, have you done the thing where something's due and then you kind of bump it out 2 days, and then you bump it out 2 days, and pretty soon you have this whole pile of bumped out tasks, and it really got me thinking around why is it? Because actually this was happening to me on a week where I wasn't in a time crunch. And I don't know about you, but I find the weeks I'm busiest, I actually am on my tasks the most. And it really got me thinking through this concept, and I've been introducing it to my clients lately, and they have been loving it. And it's really this concept of mental energy versus time. And I want to talk with you about it today. So basically the idea is, so often we're oh, I'm not getting all my tasks. I'm not getting all my work done. I'm feeling overwhelmed. I need to add more time to my schedule. And yet I don't want to work 40 hours a week. I want to work 20 hours a week. I want to work 3 days a week, right? But what I find for so many of my clients is I've actually been encouraging them to decrease their work hours when their tasks start piling up or they feel like they need more time to work. Yeah, you heard me right. When my clients come to me saying, I need more time to work, do I need to expand my work hours, right? I'm a big fan of in every chapter deciding on our work hours, even though we're oh, I want a business to have freedom, right? Pre-deciding these are my work hours, 8 a.m. to noon, noon to 3 p.m., right? Is such a blessing so that you don't have decision fatigue around the sacrifices you need to make, right? You'll either need to work in the morning or work at night or work on the weekend, right? So really deciding those hours. But then I find that a lot of my clients are giving themselves 6 hours to work during the day when they actually don't need that much time to get shit done. And as a smart, ambitious woman, you can get a lot done in a short amount of time. Right? And our brain and body knows this. And so often when we give ourselves a lot of time, we'll kind of waste time till the last second, right? It's kind of like when a friend says they're going to come over and we clean the house 15 minutes before they arrive. Not that I've ever done that, but it feels like a similar sentiment. And what I notice is my clients they have the solution of adding more work hours because their to-do list is behind, but I really find it's not for lack of time, it's for lack of mental energy, right? You're feeling exhausted, you're feeling capped out. We can talk a little bit about today about how to create more mental energy, right? How to create more of that resource if it's not more time that you're needing. But I just want to say that, right? Maybe you're thinking the problem is lack of time, but really the problem is lack of mental energy in general. So what happens is we actually exacerbate the problem when we add more time to our calendar, right? Let's say you had 4 hours a day to work and now you're giving yourself 6 hours a day to work, but the problem was actually that you only have 2 hours a day of mental energy, right? You're working for 2 hours, but you're not really working very efficient for those first 2 hours because you have 6 hours, but after 2 hours of working, you're mentally tapped. Right? Your brain cells are having a hard time focusing. And so it's just a really interesting concept, and why I find when I encourage my clients to shrink their work hours, they're able to get more done because it feels ooh, a fun little action challenge, right? Because they have the mental capacity, because they're not sitting there exhausted. And so I really want you to try this experiment. And when you think about your work hours, either tomorrow or next week, try constricting your work hours. Now, this it needs to be balanced because obviously we don't want to constrict our work hours so much that we're like having to hustle or panic. A few of my clients, especially my clients that do have really lean hours, maybe they have kids at home, maybe they just have a very mature business and they're working like 10-hour work weeks. I find that sometimes as your business is growing, you need a little more time. You're like, actually, like, I'm in a season of growth. I'm in a season of expansion. I just signed some new clients. Actually, instead of 10 hours a week, I actually need 15 hours a week, but I'm only giving myself 10. And so during those 10 hours, I'm like panicking and paralyzed because I'm giving myself so much work that I can't possibly get it done within 10 hours. So I'm kind of in freeze mode and I'm not able to get anything done. In that case, I do encourage my clients to expand their work hours so they can get everything done at a relaxed pace, right? And even though they're like, oh, I don't want to work more, right? You're ending up stressing out because you're almost like that boss that's like, hey, here's all these things you need to get done, but you only have 2 hours to do it. And you look at your boss and you're like, listen, Linda, have you guys seen that movie? My kids and I had that joke. Listen, Linda, you're giving me 10 hours of work, but I literally only have 2 hours to get it done. So that's impossible. So I'm so overstimulated by that, but I'm not going to do anything because like my brain can't even sort what to do first, right? So there are times when it can be so useful to expand your work hours, but I really encourage you to make sure you know which is the problem you have. Obviously, if you're a client of mine, we can talk about it personally. This is almost like personally diagnosed person to person. And I find that some of my clients oscillate between these two phases, and that's why it can be so useful to decide every quarter or so, what are your work hours? With my clients, I really help zhuzh up their business plan, visibility strat every single quarter. Every single quarter, because your life is changing. You might need to change your work hours. You might need to change your business strategy. You might need to change your marketing plan. Like, know that there's nothing wrong with you if it needs to shift a lot. And that's why I cannot recommend coaching with a personalized coach enough, because I think for me, I talk to my coach every week because things are always changing in my life or business, right? And I think we are disillusioned if we feel like we're going to have a set it and forget it plan in business. No, number one, our life is changing and dynamic. And the whole reason we made a business is to be able to flex it around our life, right? The other thing is online marketing and our industries are always changing. So we need to be able to shift. We need to be able to be agile and not make that wrong. Okay, I have some thoughts and tips on how to create more mental energy and capacity. But before I do that, I want to encourage you to pause the podcast and ask yourself, which is it for me? If I'm feeling overwhelmed right now with tasks and to-dos and workload, is it that I need to give myself a little more time because I can't possibly get this done? And I need to expand my work hours temporarily so that I can work at a pace that feels like, obviously, like you're an efficient woman, but like you don't need to be panicked. Like for me, I baby myself while I work. Like I drink kombuchas on my client calls. I have my teas. Like I have a very clean work desk because that's what I like. I have a foot massager. Sometimes like I'll have under my desk and literally like I'll be getting a foot massage, right? While I'm like typing away on my emails. Right now, even when I'm recording this podcast, I have 2 blankets on my lap because I have my heater on. I'm a chilly girl. Okay. I don't know if I'm a turtle. I need to be sent on a rock, right? I sit on my heating pad, but you need to be able to you need to be able to work at a doable pace, right? Another thing I want to mention on this too is like making sure that your to-do list has relevant tasks. And you don't have busy work. Like I just told my mastermind this yesterday, like a big skill I feel like I have in my business is being able to tolerate shiz not being done that doesn't need to be done, right? Like it's almost like in your house, if you're having guests over, you don't obsess over cleaning your junk drawers or your back end closet. Like everyone has that, right? As we're growing our businesses, there's going to be parts of our business that are messy. It's just knowing which ones to be messy. For me, my client delivery and service is always number one, right? My Google Drive might be a little messy, right? But that maybe something switched with like our podcast linking system. So some of my old blog posts have incorrect links on the but for me, I'm like, we're going to table that. Like that's not a priority project. It's really being able to savvily know that. Also, I meet with my OBM and we reprioritize stuff all the time. She'll tell me like, okay, Anna, this is what's on the to-do list. Like what's the priority? And so really really making sure you're prioritizing not just for you, but for your team. And again, those priorities can shift and change. Maybe you have a new idea and maybe that'll bump an old idea, right? Just to get super practical too, something I try to make sure I do when I do bump out tasks, right? When I am like, oh, I don't have time for this project, I try not to bump it out 3 days. I try to do like one of two things. I know this is really granular, but I think it's going to help someone. So like, for example, if I am bumping out, I have a task for like potential clients that I'm nurturing, I try to bump it out into the future, but I bump it for the day that I nurture people, right? Don't be bumping out tasks randomly just to have to bump it out again. If you do your nurturing on Mondays, bump that task out to another Monday, right? If for me, this is a task that's like a bigger project, I bump it out 3 months. Don't be bumping it out 1 week and then having to bump it out the next week, right? Like bump it out 6 months. Like really trust yourself with that. And then once you are noticing that you are bumping tasks a lot, really looking at number one, can I delete this or put this in a long-term parking lot that doesn't have a due date? Is this something that can be delegated? Is this something that can be deleted? It's safe for you. Put your hand on your heart and say this. It's safe for you to change your mind, to change priorities, to re-decide, to leave things undone. Maybe you started writing this epic blog post, but it's no longer a priority. Just leave it in your content parking lot, right? It's okay for you to do things in order to be able to keep things simple. Okay. I want to be able to give you some ideas around creating more time and mental energy. If you're like, oh my God, okay, so if it isn't time, if I do need more mental energy and capacity, how do I create more of that if that's the gold, right? I'm a big fan of like managing 3 resources in my life: my financial resources, my time resources, and my energy resources. I'm going to say them again: my money resources, my energy resources, and my time resources, right? You guys know I'm a big fan of creating a savings account, a 20K savings buffer in your business, in your personal life, like just having cash around, right? Obviously, we want to be investing our money too, but I think especially for female entrepreneurs, when our income can be so fluid, having that reserve is so useful so that we can still pay ourselves that stable paycheck every month, right? That's how we create money freedom. We create time freedom, in my opinion, by having a 3-day work week. When we budget all of our work to fit into 3 days, it's magic because you have time buffer, right? I'm someone that fits all my work into Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. However, occasionally I will work a Monday or a Friday, right? For example, last week I had some medical appointments and things that I try my best to honor my Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday and not disrupt it. But every once in a while, I can't help it. And so then I can like put things on a Friday, right? If I was maxing out my work hours Monday through Friday and I had medical appointments, then suddenly I'm working on a Saturday. It's so interesting because I feel like I want to say this because sometimes people hear like, oh, Anna works 3 days a week. Like, no, sometimes I will work on a Monday morning or a Friday morning or a Tuesday night. But because I'm budgeting for about 18 hours, 20 hours a week, even when I'm flexing outside of that, it still feels really spacious, right? Because I'm doing a money date. I let my list know, like I do my personal budgeting on Friday mornings. And so I'm inviting my community to come. So yeah, technically I'm working on a Friday morning, but I don't care, right? Because it's my business, my life, do what feels good to me, right? So I think the key is when you restrict your work hours, right? People think like it's going to restrict you. No, you still have free. It's almost like when people have a savings account and then they feel like that money saved isn't theirs anymore and they feel guilty. No, it's still your money. It's literally what the money is there for. Spend the money, right? Your time is yours too. It's okay to like work on a Saturday morning if that's what you feel like doing, right? But the idea is you're restricting it. That's how we create buffer for our time, right? Is time restriction creates buffer. Again, this relates to what I'm saying about like when you limit your hours, you're more productive. How we create energy reserves. I don't think I've talked about this enough, but it's just being aware of the things that give you life and energy. I guess that was pretty nondescript. So knowing for me, the things that give me energy, I'll name a few. Sleep. For me, my business actually gives me energy. when I have aligned clients and doing aligned work and making sure the things I'm doing in my business are things that I enjoy. It's a big reason why I still do very high touch coaching. Maybe it's not the smartest move for scaling, but it's because I like it. If I had a model where I was only making money on passive income courses, I would blow up my business because I wouldn't like it. Like I like to coach and I like to be high touch. It's how I see women get results, and it fuels me to really help women. And so because of that, I do a lot of coaching during my coaching time, and I enjoy it, and it gives me life, and it gives me energy, and it makes me happy. Like it really feels like active meditation. It feels like an escape to be able to coach. So being mindful of what is giving you energy, right? Outside of that, spending time with my girlfriends, going out to dinner, dancing and taking dance classes, spending time with my kids, like being in my house when my house is clean and quiet. There's nothing like it, right? So I think there's a lot of things within our control. And when we're building our business, we're in a season of growing or in a season of financial scarcity, that can be hard to want to make time for that because it can feel like, I don't have time to hang out with friends. I don't have time to go to the gym. Oh, did I say exercise? Oh my goodness. Why didn't I say that one? Exercise is like the number one thing that I do that gives me stability, that gives me life, that gives me energy. And finding a form of exercise that feels life-giving to you, right? You guys know I love bar. I love yoga sculpt, right? I do a little bit of CrossFit, but that's just because it's close to my house. Doesn't give me life, to be honest. Give me the girl power music, okay? And so it's finding active stuff that works for the season you're in and that gives you life. For me, I love people, so I love to go to a gym. I love community. I love working out alongside other people, right? It takes time to get to know yourself in this way, right? What also gives me energy is having support, having my coach, having my therapist, having a nanny that helps me out. So I'm not feeling drained with everything, with bedtime routine, with right? So it's really mastering what is going to not just get you to baseline level energy, but what gets you to an abundant level of energy. And I know this might feel out of reach for you, but I really want you to think, it's almost like with money, not just like, oh, I'm going to make enough money to like squeak by and save for retire. No, I want abundant money. I want to be overflowing with money. I want money coming out my ears. I want so much. I trust myself with letting go of that control, with having so much money that I don't even know what to do with it. Right? Same thing with time. I can trust myself with being bored, or I know for me, a big thing I had to overcome when I started creating more margin in my workday and schedule is being alone with my feelings. Gosh dang it. I'm someone that when I get a little bit more anxious or depressed, I'm actually like a very high functioning person. I like clean when I'm anxious, right? And so it's like giving yourself permission to create an abundance of energy. Not just squeaking by, just getting enough, just bare minimum, right? Okay, so let's do those affirmations again, right? It's safe for me to have abundant income. It's safe for me to have abundant time, so much that I don't know what to do with, and I can trust myself with that. I can manage it. It's going to be good for me. Same thing with energy. I can trust myself with an abundance of energy. Sometimes we have fears around this, right? Around what to do with excess, with wealth, but you can trust yourself with energy, right? So a fun little homework to do for this might be making a tiny little list of things that you know will create a reserve of energy for you. That way, when something comes up that needs a little bit more of your energy, maybe it's something happens with a family member, maybe it's something that happens in your business, right? Like we talked about, like in order to like work in a really focused way for 4 or 6 hours, you need energy. This is something I feel like doesn't get talked about a lot, is like, yes, our business can make us happy, but sometimes our business won't make us happy. And sometimes we have to bring energy and innovation into our business, right? Let's say one of your clients is having a challenging time, right? Like maybe something went awry in your business. Maybe you're trying something new, like getting visible, and it's not really landing. Like our businesses, especially as we're growing and stretching and doing new things, it's gonna feel edgy. It's going to feel uncomfortable. It's not going to feel good. So we need to get good feelings from our life and bring that into our business, right? Again, ideally, it's going back and forth where like when we have hard life seasons, our business is nurturing us too. Like I said, I enjoy my client sessions, right? But it's really being able to know those things that continually bring you life, give you energy, make you happy. And this comes to the uncomfortable conversation about hobbies. Sit down. Are you sitting down? I hope you're sitting down. Maybe you're on your power walk. Maybe you're in the car. Maybe you're folding laundry. Hobbies are so important. I just did a post in the Facebook group about this and saying one of my biggest secrets as a 3-day entrepreneur is having hobbies. And men have no problem with hobbies. They hunt, they golf, they fish, they who knows what they do, but they have no problem spending time on things that aren't productive. What do we do as women? We feel like we have to turn our hobbies into a business, right? We feel like guilty for having them. We feel like it has to go in the margins. We feel like we have to like, okay, I'll start sewing and that's my hobby, but I'm going to really be budget friendly and only get fabric from Joann's that when I have my coupon. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong against couponing. I love to coupon. Okay. But what I am saying is like, no, literally the point of a hobby is it costs us money and it costs us time and it gives us energy. Okay. Hobbies, and I'm using the term hobby very loosely. Okay, we can dive into that. But hobbies, yes, they cost you time. Yes, they cost you money, but it gives you energy. Okay? These are the things in our life that we do because they make us happy. They bring us pleasure, right? For me, and I know this is a stretch, but I feel like my kids are one of my hobbies. Like my kids cost me time and money. Okay? But guess what? They make me so happy most of the time. They give me energy. They give me life, right? I even think of my friendships as a hobby. Again, this might be a weird analogy, but like hanging out with friends, it costs money. It costs time, right? But it makes me feel good. It makes me feel happy, right? For sure, dance costs me a lot of time and it costs me a lot of money. For sure, working out costs me a ton of time and a ton of money, but it makes me happy, right? Like being okay as women to be able to spend on that. And I'm not saying you have to. Obviously, like as you have more money and resources, as you have more time, as you have more money, you can spend more time and money in hobbies. But what I want to challenge you to do too is even before you quote, have time and money for it, start spending some. In a radical act of faith, what if before you felt like you had the time and money for hobbies, you started doing a little? For example, maybe you don't commit to like spending like $300 a month on dance classes like I do. Maybe you just take a one dance class that's 1 hour long this month and you spend $10 on a drop-in class. That's it, right? Maybe you haven't been hanging out with friends and you decide you want to do just a 30-minute meetup with one of your girlfriends and you go to coffee, right? Costs you $5, costs you 30 minutes of your time. Start investing in small ways and see how it pays you dividends. I think it's useful to know too, in different chapters of our life, like when I was a mama, for me, it really looked like, I went to the YMCA. Number one, it's super cheap. Number one, their childcare at my gym was super trustworthy. So it really felt aligned for me. But this is going to mean something different for you in different eras. But it's really looking at like, what are the things I can spend my money and time on that are going to give me back energy? And guess what? It probably will cost you time or money. But being okay with that, because number one, the energy is going to fuel the other parts of your life. Number two, you just deserve to have energy and be happy. Like it's your birthright, right? Like it's safe for you to spend money and time on things that bring you joy. That's the point of life. Like to me, that's why we have a business and why we work is to be able to have the resources to be able to make us happy. So spend that time and spend that money. And I get that it's a chicken and the egg scenario. I'm not saying you have to like go and blow $1,000, but I'm just saying like, how can you spend $5? How can you spend 30 minutes on you, on a radical act of self-love, of self-care, of that to give you energy? Okay, I know I haven't really talked about it in this way before, but I hope this is useful as you're thinking through this, especially if you're in an era of feeling like, oh, I'm overwhelmed, I don't have enough time. just a more complex conversation. Okay, I would love to hear your takeaway from this. If you have an aha moment or if there's something that's feeling sticky. I also this month am opening up room for a few 10-minute strategy calls. These are 100% free mini sessions where I coach you, no strings attached, and I'm able to get you some breakthrough on whatever you're feeling stuck around, especially if it is making money, having more time, making multi-six figures on a 3-day work week. I would love to talk with you and get you some breakthrough. We can definitely do that in 10 minutes and really personalize this. Like I said, a lot of this stuff is custom, and I think it's not what the online space is saying, but it's true. Like, you won't know if you need to expand your work hours or shrink your work hours until you really explore that. And I would love to explore that with you. Feel free to add a link to the show notes. And just again, thank you so much for listening to the show. I know there's a million places that you could listen. So spending your time with me just means the world with me. I truly enjoy this time, and I'm grateful that we could have this moment of connection.
Thanks for hanging out today. Please hit that subscribe button so you can make sure to stay updated anytime a new episode drops. And I would love for you to join me in my free Facebook community. It's called The Heart-Centered Entrepreneur. We discuss the podcast episodes. I regularly go live and do free trainings. And you may even meet your newest biz bestie. So you can join at heartcenteredcommunity.com. It's absolutely free, and I cannot wait to see you in there.